Hey you guys, I hope you are having a great start to your week so far. If you can see this behind me, there's your laugh for the day. If you know me personally, you would know just about how long that tree has been up. And to be honest, considering the fact that we're more than halfway through the year, I'm kind of leaning towards just honestly leaving it up at this point. So there's that. So hopefully you can relate to that a little bit. If not, then perhaps it's me sharing with you the fact that I may look all slightly put together up top, but just so you know, I am super comfortable in my black lounge pants, jogger pants, whatever you want to call them. Yes, it is super hot outside right now, but we do have the luxury of having a lower temperature in the house. So that way I can actually be the one that wears the long comfy pants and sometimes the hoodies. So there we are. So anyways, happy Tuesday, you guys. I'm so excited to bring this training to y'all. I hope again, y'all are having an incredible week so far. If you haven't already, make sure and check the news tab of your workstation. Not too many announcements on there so far this week. Just make sure and for one, have that mindset and just mentally preparing yourself for the fact that next month is transition month. No worries if you are newer to the team and maybe this is something perhaps that you have never heard of before or you need a refresher. No worries, because we will definitely cover that closer to the end of the month whenever I get back from SFR. So there's that. The other announcement that you may or may not need to know as well is the fact that the Buddy Bonanza, although is still continuously going on, there will be no longer at this point be any new bunnies added to the Bonanza, so just make sure and be aware of that. However, there are plenty to choose from, so make sure I encourage you to remind your customers about that going on for this month only. Not only that, but on top of all of the good stuff that's happening, that's marked down in clearance as well. So today's training is going to be a little bit different than what we normally cover. Today's training is going to be on sponsoring, and I know, don't run. Don't pause this. Don't get out of this. I know that's a hairy, scary word for some of y'all, especially if you're newer to the team, but bear with me. I promise I'm not going to take too much of y'all's time, but bear with me. Get a pen, get a paper, and let's dive right in. Oh, and stay hydrated. All right. Sponsoring. It's a lifestyle, y'all. It's a part of this business. It's honestly something hands down that's going to continuously help your business grow, and it's also in the long run going to help you meet more people and new people on top of that. Let's say this out loud together so that way we can, let's take a deep breath and let's say it together. I'm going to sponsor someone. Think of it as like your mantra. If this is something that you have never considered before as far as sponsoring is concerned, or maybe this is something that you've heard of but you're kind of leaning on the fact of, I don't know if I want to do this, it sounds pretty scary, or you know what, I'm good, I just don't want to grow a team. If that's you, I want you to start practicing starting today. Look in the mirror. I'm looking at myself on my camera right now on my phone. Say it to yourself whenever you can, as often as possible, as often as you can. I'm going to sponsor someone. Think of it as any other affirmation, positive affirmation in your life. The more often we say it, the more often we put it out into the universe, the more it becomes realistic to us. And also we take away the scare factor about it, right? The more often we talk about it with others, the more often we bring it up, it's not as intimidating. You know, it decreases that value of intimidation. Self-reflection is so important when it comes to even the consideration of sponsoring, and or if you're in the middle of it and you have for some time either been working towards sponsoring somebody, or perhaps you have somebody that you're already sponsoring and you're looking to further grow your team, you're looking to further sponsor more people. Self-reflection is so important because, for one, if you haven't already sponsored somebody and you're not even sure if you want to even go down that road, what is stopping you? That's for sure something you want to self-reflect on, is why? Why do you not want to sponsor somebody? I think that's super important for us to first and foremost hit pause on this training and consider that for just a small amount of time. Because if this is something that you feel like that is, it's stopping you, you're stopping yourself, it's important to know the why. And once you figure out the why, that's where I can either as your sponsor or as your team leader, this is something that we can for sure work together on, and or for you to find someone else that could be accountability partner for you to help you overcome those obstacles of perhaps what is stopping you. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and get this out of the way. Expect the no. Expect the no. As glorious as it sounds, and the idea that every single person that I'm going to come to and I'm going to talk to is going to say, yes, yes, I want to join. Yes, I want you to sponsor me. Yes, I want to be on your team, Megan. As exciting as the idea is, the unrealistic idea, by the way, that everybody's going to tell me yes, it just ain't going to happen. So expect the no. Again, I feel like not only, like I said earlier, the more often and common as we say it out loud over and over, that I want to sponsor somebody, I will sponsor somebody. I think it's important for us to also take in mind and remember that we want to expect the no. Why? That sounds weird, right? Expect the no. The reason why you want to expect the no is because more than likely, especially in the beginning of all this, people are going to tell you no. They're going to tell you no for all sorts of reasons. I mean, to be honest, I get no sometimes because it's not the right time, or they're not going to be as good in sales as I am, or they're just not a good salesperson, or they're too busy, or they don't want to join this pyramid scheme. How often have we heard that? Or, oh, I don't want to do another MLM. Or one that I've heard recently, I'm actually pretty set in life and comfortable. I don't really need to worry about small things like that. Trust me, you are going to get a wide variety of reasons why somebody doesn't want to do this thing that you're doing, but you always want to go for the no. To me, in my opinion, when you're going for the no, that means that you're continuously showing up for your business consistently. Y'all know I love that word, consistently. You're showing up for your business. That means you're showing up for yourself, and also means that you're creating this expectation for yourself, or this consistency, this level of consistency, that's you're showing up, you're building a brand, you're building a business. And I've used this scenario before, where if you're sitting at the table and someone comes to you and they're asking if you want a refill and you tell them no, are they going to throw a temper tantrum and quit that day? More likely not. It's just the same as when you're asking, hey, do you want to do what I'm doing? Do you want to do the Scentsy thing? I just joined. Do you want to do this with me? We can do it together. If someone's going to tell you no, that's okay. Because for one, obviously that's the right to tell you no. But to be honest, I would much rather get a no than not get an answer at all, because that just leaves us second guessing everything, right? One thing that's important when it comes to self-reflection is, why am I not getting anyone to respond? So just like I said earlier, there are so many times, y'all, that I'm getting somebody that ghosts me, is what I like to refer to it, that they ghosted me, they didn't answer back. I think it's important a lot of times, I'm to be honest with y'all, every end of the month, especially every end of the quarter, but every end of the month, I always like to reflect on the month before and think back on some of the things that really worked for me, and then maybe perhaps the things that didn't. And a lot of times I will admit that I do get hung up when somebody does tell me the no, or they just don't answer at all. But the ones who specifically are not answering me at all are the ones that I'm honestly more curious about, because I want to know why they're not responding back. And just as much as when they tell us no, there are a multitude of reasons why. There also are a lot of reasons why they're not answering you as well. It's not necessarily because they are ignoring you. It could be they had every intention of sending that message and they just forgot. It could be that they did send that message, but there was a glitch and you just didn't receive the answer. Believe it or not, that's possible. It could be that they got super busy because they're like me, perhaps like you, ADHD, squirrel brain. They had every intention of answering you back, but life happened, something interceded in that, and then they forgot once again. Or it also could be that they're actually pretty scared, just as much as you are, and they're not really sure what they want to say. Probably just as uncomfortable as it was for you to send that message asking them to possibly join and do what you're doing. Right? I don't know about you, but I never really thought about it like that. One thing I think it's important for us to ask ourselves is, or ask our host is, do you want to get paid off of your party orders? Hands down. Less is more. Keep it super simple. When you have a party host, immediately ask them at the very beginning, even perhaps before the party kicks off, do you want to get paid off of your own orders? That's important. Why? Because when you're creating that party link for your host, that's going to determine if you put their information in first. Now, personally, in my opinion, I always hands down put the host information in, because either way, let's just say that you decide not to flip that party over to them, because you didn't flip that party over to them, you as a consultant are still going to get commission off of that party, the party orders the following month. However, what's super important, and one extra step you don't have to do at the very end, is you're putting your host information at the very beginning, because if they're perhaps interested or thinking about it or immediately, yes, I want to join, then the cool part about that is that when it's time for you to close that party out, their information is already there for you to be able to invite them to fill out their information to join and for them to redeem the host kit. Every party host, you want to ask that, right? Again, go for the no. You want to immediately ask them that, because we can't always assume that they're going to say yes or they're going to say no. We don't know until we ask, right? Another thing that I think is super important that I like to evaluate when it comes to who am I going to ask? Now, you could be the person who asks everybody, or if you want to have intentions on purposely having a deeper connection with who you're sponsoring, who you're asking to join you and your team and do this business with, is who's ordering frequently, for one, who's ordering frequently from you, and also those who are ordering from you, who are the ones that are placing bigger orders. Those are my things, frequently or bigger orders, because those are people that are going to benefit for themselves to join because of getting the commission, for one, off their own orders, but on top of that, being able to own host rewards. Like, hello, as a consultant, isn't that the coolest thing ever? Not only to bank in on the host rewards, but on top of that, get the commission as well off of what they're ordering. There is a spot in our world on our teams for hobbyists. The thing that, if I could give you any kind of nugget of information in the last 4 years that I have been not only building this team, Team Faith and Soul, but also the fact of when I joined as a consultant and came across the idea of sponsoring before I even knew what it was, when I first started looking into it, before my team started growing, right? Before I started sponsoring and growing my front line, right? One thing that I think is important is to know that there's room for everyone. There's room for everyone. I want to be fully transparent with you guys. Some of y'all that are watching this are OGs with me, and y'all have been around since the very beginning. Some of y'all are fairly newer, and the ones who are newer may not have any idea of the hot mess situation that it was when I first started building a team. Because we just don't know, right? I didn't know any better. No one taught me. Believe it or not, shock value. I didn't have anybody, y'all. I had a sponsor. Yeah. On paper, I had a sponsor, but I didn't have anybody that was holding my hand. I didn't have a mentor per se, that this is the way, this is what you do, this is what you don't want to do, this is the way you want to go. This is how you're going to save time. This is how you're going to save money. I didn't have anybody, y'all. The text that you're getting from me, from your sponsor, the shout outs, the reach outs, the mentoring, the group get-togethers, I didn't have zilch, especially for at least the first 2 years. I didn't have much of that going on. But in the beginning, what I learned the hard way is that, your team is kind of like, when you're growing your team, it's like a big old puzzle. Not everybody's going to be the same. And it is okay to have people who you ask to do this business with you that are referred to as what we call like hobbyists. We have a wide variety of people on our team. We do have hobbyists. What does that mean? That means somebody who is that person that's ordering, for one, frequently from you. It could be perhaps somebody that has that Scentsy Club order with you. It could be somebody that just honestly just loves Scentsy, or they love something specific about Scentsy, like our Disney products. That's a hobbyist. It means somebody who Scentsy is not their life. They have a full-time job. It could be that they're super busy with their family. And Scentsy is just something that they enjoy. And it's just a bit of a perk because they're already ordering from you as a consultant. And it's just a perk for them to be able to join. And again, kind of reap the benefits, earn trips, earn incentives. We got the camper chair situation happening right now. Earning those chairs, earning the refrigerator. Sometimes people love the incentive. Sometimes they love the drive, the competition to be able to earn something and get rewarded for just frankly ordering for themselves, right? Hobbyists, it's fine. When I first joined, I had the assumption that, I was like, okay, this is my business. And as a business, then in my mindset, it was like, everybody that's going to join my team is going to be just like me. They want to sell Scentsy full time. They're going to want to sell Scentsy even part time. And that's all I had. That's all I had. I was like, oh, I don't have room on my team for hobbyists. What is that? Somebody who's just ordering to get active once a year? Well, I don't want that on my team because that's going to slow me down. And that's what I've learned the hard way, you guys, is that you cannot have that mentality. There's room for everybody at my table. There's room for everybody. I have the individuals, like I said, who are only ordering about once or twice a year, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine because guess what? I'm not their boss. I'm not your boss. I'm not their boss. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way because I've had several jobs in the last 10 years where I was overseeing somebody or a group of people, management, you name it, customer service. And that was my mentality, was like, I'm going to run my Scentsy business just like I have with all my other jobs. And that ain't the case. I had a rude awakening. In fact, I had a heart-to-heart with one of my good friends, used to be on my team. I had a come to Jesus moment because that's where she was like, Megan, I'm not working this business like you. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? What was that? What was that? And that was a rude awakening for me, y'all, because I didn't think that was possible. I was like, do I really want a variety of people on my team? Hobbyists, people who order once or twice a year? Yes, you do. Because the thing is that it's none of my business how often you guys order, how often you work your business. Ain't none of my business. And then, yes, it's going to be rough because some of y'all are going to drop off. Some of y'all are going to cancel. Some of y'all are going to be bringing in sales every single month. But that's okay, because why? Because we're sponsoring. We're sponsoring. What does that mean? That means that I'm asking more people to join Team Faith and Soul. That means that my goal at the end of the month is to reach out to more people, sponsor more, grow my front line. What does that mean? It means sponsoring more people one-on-one. That's what that means. And it means that not necessarily self-relying on just one person, but making more room and expanding that table, expanding our group for others, like-minded people who are vibing with me, but like I said, perhaps only want to order every now and then, or they want to work this business full-time, part-time, just like I have done. Variety is good for the soul. I think it's important for us at the end of the day to remember to not get caught up in going, like I said earlier, for those that want to sell Scentsy full-time. I think idealistically we get caught up in this notion of, oh my gosh, if I could just find the people who want to hustle and work really hard, that's how I'm going to maintain my title. That's how I'm going to get paid at title. Ooh, that's how I'm going to promote and go further up. Wrong. Because what's going to happen at the end of the day is that's going to be burnout. You're going to put a bad taste in everyone's mouth. You're not going to you're setting a horrible, first off, you're setting up a horrible expectation for those that you already are sponsoring, because believe it or not, they're watching you. They're watching you. They're seeing every move that you're making, and they probably don't even want to be around that anymore. That's rough. For me, what I've realized is that I have to worry about me. I don't have to worry about everybody else. It's important for me. It is my responsibility, y'all, and it's your responsibility, believe it or not. It's important. Like, you hold the golden ticket in your hands. Why? Because you're a consultant, and the only way that somebody can actually get in on this business, get in and be able to have a blessing in their lives, be able to have some fun, be able to not be so dragged down by the mundane of their life, is through you. They have to join underneath somebody So why not join under you? I don't know, to be honest with y'all, I don't want the people that I'm close with in my life or those that are crossing paths with me by no mistake. Somebody doesn't cross your path, by the way, accidentally by mistake. There's a reason. I firmly believe there's a reason and a purpose for everything and everyone. So if people are coming across your path and they're having that one-on-one conversation of, even if it's just for a smidge amount of time, where they're just like, man, I can't catch a break at work, or, oh man, I've really got these extra expenses coming up with little Susie, and I just don't know what we're going to do because she's got to have all this stuff for this new sport that she's playing. Ding, 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 light bulb. That's somebody that you want to sponsor. That's somebody that you want to ask, hey, do you want to do what I'm doing? I can help you with that. Those are the people that you want to make a note of. Those are the people that you want in your corner, in your tribe, on your team, whatever you want to call it. Don't focus as much on those that are going to be working their business and working their tails off, because newsflash, these days, that comes a dime a dozen. Those people, I think that sometimes they have to see their potential along the way to get to that point, but it's not always going to start off in the beginning like that. Don't take the no so personally. I know, easier said than done, but don't take a no so personally, even when you don't get a response. I mean, I said that earlier, like, don't take it personal. It's nothing that you're doing. I know that that's really hard to hear because we're like, yeah, right. Like it was me. No, don't get me wrong. There is a right or wrong way to go about asking somebody to do this business with you. My nugget that I could provide for you, because I have learned a lot of lessons along the way, is less is more when it comes to verbiage. Be authentically yourself. You want to talk to said person as if you're talking to them like you would be talking to a friend, even if perhaps you just met them. And again, less is more. You don't want to bombard them with all the things, like, hey, did you know there was a kit and this is how you can earn it? And when you earn it, then you get all these trips and you get to earn the incentives. And oh, by the way, did I mention that you get this and this and this? Like, oh my God, trust me, I used to be that person. I used to be the copy and paste person that would send the same message to everybody over and over and over. Ugh, don't be that person, you guys. Make it personal. Be very intentional who you're talking to. And most importantly, track and make a note of the conversations of when you spoke to them. What was their response? When do you want to follow up with them? In my personal opinion, when you ask somebody to do this business with you, no matter what that looks like for you, I would say give or take about 4 to 6 months before you approach it again. And to be honest with you, I have certain people on our team that I had to ask 3 or 4 plus times. Some of them are still my really good customers, and I'm still asking them every 4 to 6 months, but they haven't said yes yet. Yet being the match forward. Another way that you can actually present the verbiage, is that something you're hung up on, like, I just don't know what to say. So earlier you heard me give an example of, have you ever thought of doing what I do? That's it. Nothing more than that. Keep it short and sweet. I have a discounted kit available. I was wondering if you want to join me. Again, leave it at that. Simple. Open-ended questions, right? You want to basically throw out a little bit, planting seeds, basically, because you want them to come back and answer you. Having an open-ended question is leaving enough room for them to respond. If you're going on, you're basically kind of already answering it for them. And then, to be honest with you, they're probably going to be turned off by the first sentence or two because you've lost them. I know that's how I would be with my, squirrel brain. Again, just reiterating, it's important to track your conversations. Sorry, I had to move to get comfortable. It's important to track your conversations because, for one, you don't want to necessarily be a repeat offender where you're contacting the same person within like a month or 2 month span, because you're really going to drive them off then. But on the other hand, it is important to track those conversations because you don't want to lose somebody that could potentially want to do this business with you. And in the last 4 years that I've been with Scentsy, I have had two people, thankfully not more than that, but 2 people. I had every opportunity asked to join. One of them was a party guest. The other one was a party host with me. Now, to be honest, one of them, I assumed she's not going to want to join. She works full time. She takes care of her parents. She's not going to want to join. Yeah, she joined somebody else's team like a couple months later. The other one, that was my party guest. She never ordered. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to present the kit to her because she hasn't even ordered. Why would I want to give her, why would I want to help her in any way? Why would I want her to join my team if she's not ordering anything? Yeah, come to find out what it was is that her paycheck wasn't coming up until the following week. So that is why she hadn't ordered from the party. She did end up ordering from my host party, but she ended up joining somebody else's team. So that's why it's important to track those conversations and to not assume that somebody is going to, don't automatically answer for them. That's what I want to say, because you never know. Again, you are planting seeds by having these conversations with these individuals, no matter what that looks like. Sometimes people are going to automatically go for it. And at other times you have to plant seeds along the way. Sometimes that could look like perhaps that they are a newer customer of yours and they're not really interested right now, but they could potentially have a Scentsy Club order. I have customers that are like that right now, honestly, full transparency. I have 2 customers that are very, very much into their Scentsy products. They would make a really great make really great team members. Both of them actually have Scentsy Club right now. They're both really good friends. So I'm planting those seeds along the way. I have asked them at least twice a year to join, and I'm going to be doing the same thing again pretty soon. And what's cool is because I was able to introduce Scentsy Club to them, I now have something extra to play in front of them about, oh, by the way, did you know that you get commission, you get paid off of your club order? Think about that for a second. Be authentically you when you are having these conversations with somebody, no matter what that looks like. Be authentically yourself. Don't be a copy paste version of someone else, because that's where you're going to rub somebody the wrong way, especially if they know you, right? Don't copy and paste. Don't copy and paste somebody's lingo. Please don't do that. Especially if, now it's one thing if they're like, yeah, I'll go ahead and use it, to each their own. But for me personally, you definitely always, like if you're copying and pasting somebody's verbiage on social media, for example, make sure and edit it to the extent of it, your voice is coming through. Because if you're not talking to somebody like I'm talking to you, you hear my voice, right? You hear the inflections and when I'm getting really excited, when I'm really serious with y'all. When I get annoyed with something, you can hear the inflections in my voice, right? But when you're texting that out, whenever you're doing a post, you can't always, your voice isn't always going to come through, right? So that's where the wording is going to come through and help express yourself. If you're copying and pasting somebody else's lingo, people who truly know you for you, no matter what that looks like, it's going to be like ick. It's going to be ick moment, because they're going to realize that this is weird. This isn't something she usually posts. And they're probably not even going to pay that much attention to it, to be honest. I think it's important to look for clues that'll lead to the follow-up of potentially sponsoring that a person. So for example, if you see somebody, either if you're having a one-on-one conversation with someone, or if you see perhaps something that they posted where they're in need of a fundraiser, or they are doing a fundraiser currently, that is something that you can personally reach out to them one-on-one and just say, hey, either like, hey, just to let you know, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm a Scentsy consultant and I'd love to be able to help you with your fundraiser. Talk about it that way. Start first as the host and then gradually build that bridge into them joining. Because what better way for them to not only raise funds for their fundraiser, but then flip it. So they're getting the host rewards and then they're already getting the commission, which is going to go towards their fundraiser, or, perhaps, like I said earlier, the equipment that they need for that sports team. If you have somebody that you see is moving, same thing. Think about the greatest amount of potential when someone moves to another location, because that's going to give them the opportunity to meet new people, neighbors, new coworkers. So when somebody's moving, that is a big plus to offer them that opportunity, because not only is it extra income in their pocket, right? But on top of that, again, like I said, giving them something that's going to be an icebreaker for them to meet new people, to make new friends, build relationships. And last, but not certainly not least, finding somebody, or not really necessarily, I shouldn't say finding somebody, but if you have someone personal in your life that's going through a hardship, that area is kind of a gray area. You have to tread a little bit, lightly on that. You want to be very sensitive, super sensitive to that, actually. But if it's somebody that you're close enough with, then I've had honestly friends of mine that I've reached out to, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to offend you, but I had this opportunity and I would really love to bless you. I have this host kit. I could use it elsewhere, but I really want you to have it. And go from there. Again, you're just being intentionally and authentically you. I think it's important for me to, like I was saying earlier, like share my losses with y'all. I honestly, in the last 4 years of asking people to join and do this Scentsy thing with me, I've gotten way more no's than I have yeses. Okay. Like I've had people just straight up tell me no. Like I said earlier, I've had people tell me, like, no, not this MLM business, like not that Ponzi, not that pyramid scheme. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was always holding myself back because I don't like to be told no. I'm so stubborn. I would always be like, well, I'm not going to ask them because I know they're going to tell me no. I know they're going to tell me no. I feel more comfortable going for the person that perhaps might tell me maybe, or go for the yes. But at this point, I've learned to kind of have like a even navigation towards not necessarily asking everybody that I'm coming in contact with. Like it kind of reminds me, if y'all have seen the movie, of course, now Night of the Roxbury, one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan. So Night of the Roxbury, if you remember the scene where they're in the club and he's like, him and his brother, they're like, what's up? What's up? What's up? And every single female that they're coming in contact with, they're like getting more and more excited, right? That's kind of how I picture when we're considering offering the opportunity to every person we're coming in contact with. I think there's a fine line between word vomit and just offering it to every single person and not being intentional. But then on the other hand, I feel like that when we're being extremely picky and choosy, and kind of like how I said that I was in the very beginning of my business, where I was like, oh, you know what? I'm only going to ask certain people that fit into this category. Then you're losing out on all of this other opportunity over here of people who could actually be pretty freaking incredible. And again, you could have that opportunity of gifting them the biggest blessing of all. And you never know, people join for different reasons. I didn't need the extra cash at the time. I worked full time. I needed something when I first joined that was just going to be happy. I could creatively express myself without having somebody hovering over my shoulder and that I had to report back to. And I needed something that was going to be something that I could kind of dive into and just check out from reality. That's why I joined. So when you have people that you're offering the opportunity to, it's not always going to be, oh, they need some extra money. It could be a whole slew of things. It's important for you to have that authentic conversation with them so that way you can get down to the bread and butter of why. Why do they not want to join? Or what are they looking for? Perhaps then why it would benefit them to join. Don't always assume, on the other hand, that someone isn't going to join due to their circumstances. So if we were like, again, oh, this person is way too busy, they're never going to have time to sell Scentsy. The busiest people, for one, get the most ish done. They get the most done. And the busiest people have the biggest amount of contacts. They have the biggest networks coming to a slew of people in their day-to-day lives. They're not idle hands sitting around the house wondering, what do I do next? It's important to get past the fear by doing the hard things. That will help reduce the fear. Do the hard things, whatever that may look like for you. Do it, because as you continuously over and over and over, even if it's the mantra as what we started off with in this training, even if it's the mantra of I will sponsor someone, just saying that over and over once a day to yourself as you wake up. You know what? Today I'm going to sponsor someone. Easily saying it, putting it out into the universe. Because as I like to believe, and we've heard before, what you put out into the universe typically comes back tenfold. And you're showing up for yourself. So good for you. Good for you for saying out loud, I'm going to sponsor somebody. Because even if it's not actually happening today, yourself, right? You're getting positivity into yourself. And that, my friend, is super important. That to me is the creme de la creme. Find somebody that will hold you accountable, and you can hold them accountable as well in the business. I think that is so important because, like I said, when I first joined, I didn't have anybody holding my hand. I was on my own. YouTube was my best friend. That's honestly, I got to know some of the brightest, talented, most ambitious, hard workers, creative people in this industry, in this business, through YouTube. Some of them I've never met in person before, but I made the connections with them through social media, through YouTube. It's important to have somebody that's going to hold you accountable. I've had at least 2 or 3 people that I can think of on the top of my head over the last 2 years who I hold them accountable, and in return, they hold me accountable. It could be something as, for example, one of my really good friends, we love us some Marco Polo. And if you have never heard of Marco Polo, I highly recommend looking into it, but we freaking love it. We see each other, yes, about once every 2 weeks, maybe more, if I'm being very honest. But in between, when we're working our business, like right now, I'm recording this training for you guys, so I'm working my business. We love Marco Polo because I get to go on. I record maybe barely a minute video with her, and I get to update her like, hey, this is what I'm doing today. I'm recording my team training. I'm reaching out to 2 people to host parties next month. You get the picture, but I'm holding myself accountable. And because I'm checking in with that person, I'm letting them know how I'm working my business. They're hearing that and they're like, oh, you know what? I should probably do this today. Even if it's because we work our businesses very differently. But we've talked about this before because we hold each other accountable. I don't have to do what she's doing and vice versa. But accountability is so nice, you guys, whether it's in your personal life or your spiritual life or your work life. Because having somebody to be able to do life with, I wouldn't have it any other way because it's not as much fun when you're doing it alone. I'll tell you that much. All in all, believe in yourself. Big time, you guys. You have to believe in yourself. Again, at the end of the day, if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? Don't be that person. Don't be the sleazy salesperson, like I said earlier, that's going to reach out to every single person. Be very intentional. I know the next thing you might be thinking about is what happens when someone tells you no. How are you going to pivot when someone tells you no? What is your reaction going to be? Me personally, one thing that I like to say is, again, keep it super simple, super casual. No problem. I get it. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for responding back to me. I really appreciate it. Again, making a note that you had that conversation with X person, write their name down, write the day down, and the response. Because again, you never know, because 4 to 6 months from now, their answer could be different. Don't lose this. Oh, sorry, we've already went over that. Don't lose to someone that could have joined your team. I kind of went over that earlier. When someone has something negative to say to you, like for example, they're saying, oh, I can't do that because it's a pyramid scheme. It's MLM business. That was a nightmare. I can't go through that again. You want to be, again, your authentic, genuine self. So in other words, you could say something along the lines of, I hate that you had that experience. I too have been in that situation before. And I'll give you an example because I have been in that situation before more than once. But the most recent one, long story short, I recently joined, I guess you could say like a workout gym class, a little further from my house, and absolutely freaking love it, right? I went to one class and I'm like, you know what? I'm definitely going to do this again next week. Luckily, the option for me was kind of pay as you go, which was perfect for me because, yeah, life. And I don't like the pressure again of having like a membership right now because I just got started. Well, when I was at the front desk and I was getting ready to leave from my workout class, I was talking to the girl at the front, and she is like basically doing her job in the beginning. I'll say that she's doing her job. She's letting me know, like, hey, these are the membership options. This is how much you'll save if you join now. What did you think about the class? How did you like it? Will you be back? Typical things that we would be doing even in our business, right? Is again building that relationship, having that conversation, kind of getting to know that person. And in that moment, I realized, I was like, you know what, it's cool. She's doing her job. And I said, you know what, I'm okay for now. I like the pay as you go. This works for me, but I really appreciate you letting me know. Now, to be honest with you, it should have ended there, but she just kept going. And I couldn't help but feel that there was a little bit of a pressure coming from someone up above her of pushing this on me. And I just took it with a grain of salt. I took a deep breath and I was like, you know what? She's doing her job, right? And long story short, pretty much that was a week ago. Since then, y'all, I've had 2 emails and I've had about 2 to 3 texts of, hey, have you thought about your membership options? Have you gone over your options? Have you gone over your choices? Do you have any questions? What did you think about the workout class? And I'm like, oh my God, it has only been a week. And it sucks because I really like these classes. I really like this gym. I will drive the 40 minutes to go to this specific place because I like it that much. But that's where you don't want to be in your business, okay? That is a fine example of don't be gross, okay? Don't be sleazy. You're planting that seed. That girl, when she had that first conversation with me and she said, hey, these are your options. This is how much you'll save. It should have ended there because that was planting that seed. In my opinion, if I was on the other end of things, I would have waited at least 2 or 3 classes in and come back to me and said, hey, Mrs. Clark, how are you enjoying your classes? You know what? I've seen you've actually attended 3 so far. And I know we've talked about this before, but I just want to let you know this is how much you'll save by doing a membership. And perhaps then I may or may not want to join, may or may not want that membership. But don't come at somebody in the very beginning. When you have somebody that places their first order with you and you barely know them, don't come at them like a deer in the headlights with, hey, here's all the perks of joining, because you're going to scare the hell out of them. Okay. Don't be that person. Just don't do it. Oh my goodness. Again, just talk to them like a friend. Less is more. Reiterating that again, less is more. If you're looking for people that you are like, you know what, I've talked to my network of people, I've talked to my family members, I've talked to my friends, I've talked out of everybody in my community, those that order from me on a regular basis, I've asked them all to join. If that's the case, I would say perhaps then it's time for you to branch out a little bit. I would say first and foremost, go to your contacts through social media, not necessarily contacting every single one of them, but evaluating each and every single one of them. And going by that criteria, like I said, do they have kids? Do they need extra money for their kids' events, kids' sporting teams? Or are they getting ready to make a big change in their life? Did they actually recently retire? Are they looking for extra income? That kind of thing. Go one by one on your social media pages. Make notes of every single person before you even contact them, because that's going to give you the cheddar. That's going to give you the verbiage to be able to have that conversation with them. Okay. And then right after that, at that point, if you're like, you know what, I did that, Megan, and I'm looking for more, then I would suggest for you to branch out and perhaps getting to doing a local event. If you're on my team with me, Team Faith and Soul, let me know if you want to do an event. I promise you, if you are within X amount of distance from me and you want to do an event and I don't have anything going on at that time, I'll be there to help you out with your event, because that is going to be another key component of a pool of possibility of reaching out to not only potential new customers down the line, but also potential people that you could possibly sponsor. You just never know. You never know. I recently had somebody join my team that I met at an event. So you just never know. Your job is simply asking, and you want to ask yourself, like, you want to reiterate to those that you're talking about this opportunity with, you want to reiterate and talk to them about, why are we different from all other companies? What sets you apart? What sets us apart? What sets the company apart from everyone else? What's in it for them? Not what's in it for you, what's in it for them. Scentsy isn't for everyone, and that's okay. I have customers of mine that I realized the hard way that it's not for them, and that's perfectly fine, because they were my best customers and I'm perfectly fine with them staying that way. That is also a time for you to pivot. And if you're going in the direction of like, hey, you want to do this with me? And they're like, no, I'm good, thank you though. Then you're like, well, hey, then perhaps the next time you have that conversation with them, you want to follow up and talk to them about Scentsy Club. Because if they're not open to the opportunity, if it's not a right fit for them, that's cool, because at least you had that conversation with them, right? You did your job. Good job. But at that point, it's important for you to let them know, hey, I know we talked a while back about you joining, and I completely understand that, but I just want to let you know we have this thing called Scentsy Club, and this is how you're going to benefit from it. Again, not letting them know how it's going to benefit you, but how's it going to benefit them in the long run. Planting seeds, again, is so important, because planting seeds along the way is you're kind of letting like a trail of breadcrumbs along the way, and you're giving them a little bit of information at the time, but not the entire bread loaf, because otherwise, what's left for y'all to talk about? There are a couple of things that could possibly come up that are concerns for somebody and why they're hesitant and not wanting to do what you're doing. It could possibly be that they're afraid or fearful that their friendship or their relationship with you is going to change. And to be very fully transparent with you, that is a strong possibility. So you do have to be open to the fact that maybe perhaps asking your good friend to join or your coworker to join, and they're done that on both of them, makes things a little bit different, a little bit weird, a little bit estranged, especially if perhaps it doesn't really work out for them like you thought it was going to, or how they thought it was going to be. You want to make sure and let them know that Scentsy discourages inventory. There's a huge misconception, y'all, that Scentsy consultants have to have an abundance of inventory on them. They absolutely do not. It is highly discouraged, in fact, that consultants have a lot on hand or inventory on hand. Let them know and reassure them that there will be an abundance of support, that you have their back as their sponsor, that you have others, me, obviously, to be able to help them out. And training, like an abundance of training, that you're not going to leave them behind. You're not going to leave them in the dust. But at the same time, there's not going to be anyone that's looking over their shoulder. They're independently on their own, but there is support in the background in case they need it. People will want to build relationships with those that they like and trust. They're also going to want to order from you because they like you and they trust you. Build off of that relationship. So you want to mend it first, right? You're planting that seed and then you're nourishing it and then you're taking care of it, because you want that person to not only start trusting you, but like you as a person, and then build on that trust. And then from there, you're building on that relationship. What's not in your control is how they work their business or what they end up doing with it. But what is in your control is asking them to join and letting them know about the opportunity. So I hope you guys got a little something from that. I hope y'all have an incredible day, incredible week ahead. Oh, I'm so excited for SFR coming up next week. I'm so ready to spill the goods maybe not perhaps everything, but a couple of things with you guys. But yeah, I will talk to y'all later. And until next week, I will see some of y'all Monday night on our Zoom. But otherwise, we will pick up training at the end of this month and get ready to transition into August. I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good week.